Hey everyone, it's Jasmine from New Paradigm Beings. Welcome back to my channel. I am in the beautiful countryside, an hour outside of New Orleans. This is where my mom grew up. There's several acreages out here. We're right across the levee from a portion of the Mississippi River, and it's just an all-out beautiful, natural, expansive, wide open land full of nature, history, and lots of moss, lots of beautiful oak trees. It's actually an honor to be on this land because this is where I am actually underneath a several hundred-year-old oak tree, and a lot of the old fishing equipment that my grandfather used to use and clean is actually still here. It's even after many hurricanes, it's kind of just still here, plastered into the ground. So it's a wonderful, wonderful place. It's a blessing and an honor to my soul. So this video is titled "Why We Never Hear from the Masculine Perspective." If you remember my first video, in this series I spoke about twin flames and fixation and the causes and effects of fixation, and how those patterns spiral out into our reality and thus create an unfavorable one. First and foremost, please go back and watch that video, Twin Flames and Fixation, because it will allow what I'm going to speak about in the next couple videos in this series make sense. It's going to help tie everything together, and the first video does segue into why we never hear the masculine perspective. Okay, so I just want to go into what inspired this video. I actually am going to be posting the outlines in the description box, just like in teacher profession style. Okay. That way we have a backbone to follow off of when it comes to the material. All right, so one thing, ever since I woke up to this particular journey, became aware of, what exactly I share my reality with. I, like most people, continued my research in that area. And I used social media. I used, I went online, I read articles, and I tried to see if such a thing existed in my immediate community. I wanted to learn from others. I wanted to know what their perspectives were and how I could take myself further into my personal cave. Until this day, what I actually noticed is that the female perspective, or the feminine perspective, has completely dominated this this narrative of the twin flame path. And we all know, okay, like there can't be a twin without another. But it just so happens that we have such a feminine presence, just an overwhelming feminine presence on social media, on articles, on YouTube, on Facebook, when it comes to the expression of this twin flame journey thing. So with that being said, I just want to make a few disclaimers. I am making a point that the twin flame narrative is dominated on social media by the feminine perspective, but we should also know that that is not exclusively true. Although it is overwhelmingly female, that does not mean it is exclusively female. We have many of our male counterparts stepping into their feminine energy and expressing themselves on YouTube and on other forms of social media. And some males, of course, might actually carry the feminine. It is just pretty obvious that we have a monopoly on the material as we speak. Okay, so what do I think about this? Why do I think that is? Number one, I believe personally that the female-dominated presence on social media in the twin flame community is just an example of a pour over of the feminine's general tendency to express emotions and emotional attachment to things. And in this case, it's their connection, their spiritual connection to their other. Okay, so what I'm saying is that that's not a good or a bad thing. It's just a thing. It's just a neutral position. When you are the feminine energy, you have a general tendency to express your emotions and express why things are significant or significant to you, why things matter to you, and so there, as a consequence, they're going to do that to about their connection. And in a balanced perspective, that is natural and that is healthy. Okay, however, if this truth is channeled from an imbalanced state, then the feminine energy will express hypercriticism, obsessiveness, and an all-out unnecessary and unwarranted advertising of their own true love story. Okay? So what do I mean by that? Kind of, thinking, reminding us of why I brought up fixation in the last video. In an imbalanced state, the feminine energy expresses hypercriticism. So, if the feminine is being very cherry picking or very pigeonholing about what the masculine is doing or not supposed to do, or he's supposed to be doing this, your hypercriticism is I don't like the way you cross your T. I expect you to dot your I like this, like with the Disney semicolon. Hypercriticism, micromanaging, for everyone who can relate to that. There becomes in an imbalanced state, there tends to be a micromanager in the feminine, and having everything perfect, having everything spick and span, not really watching what you're saying, or just not taking not really considering your intentions for just letting things out of your being or out of your mouth. Okay, so everyone knows what it's like to be around someone who is hypercritical. Okay, it's kind of like being around the Cinderella stepmother. And then of course there's the obsessiveness I spoke about. Basically suffocating something, or suffocating a narrative, or speaking for someone who is not present, but yet you are taking up all of their narrative and placing it in for the world to see. Um, so there's a suffocation um, of such a narrative. Another one thing I tend to see, even when with twins who are together on screen, when they're still, everyone's still working out on their journey. A lot of times the females will interrupt their masculine without even letting them finish what they were trying to say or going to say. And I'm sitting here like, well, I want to let him finish. Like, I want to hear what he's going to say. Like, that matters to me. Um, but like, I think the feminine believes they have an all-encompassing knowledge of what is going on over the masculine's supposedly feeble-minded scope of the world, that they won't even really listen to the masculine, like, coming to meet them in that space until the feminine will just finish his sentence, just like brrr, like vomitation of the mouth, just brrr, finish his sentence. And they just kind of, once again, you see that energy kind of, the masculine energy kind of being pushed back into the corner, like, oh, and so once again you see that female dominance of the emotions and what they believe is right, instead of having that negotiating sphere. And whether or not that is going to heal will be dependent on whether the masculine feels masculine enough to assert their word, or if the feminine feels respectful enough to back off. Okay, because otherwise that continues into catastrophe, and what we call the fatal flaw, which I will pick up later at the bottom of this video. Okay, so hypercriticism, obsessiveness, and unnecessary and unwarranted advertisements of their journey. So I'm definitely guilty of this. When I was pretty fresh to this this state of being, I didn't I had no idea how to I knew there was something sacred about this, and I understood that this had to stay in whatever way, this had to stay pure, it had to stay pretty secret. But at the same time, I couldn't really reconcile that in a world where I had to be public. Because I still didn't see that it was okay for the female to be secretive and to be mysterious, to stay mysterious. That was okay. So I would try to communicate this journey to an everyday friend, or someone who was close to me, or someone who I thought I could really trust, not really respecting where I sensed that they were in this world right now. Like, that wasn't something they were able to hear, really ready to hear. But I thought that, if friends are able to counsel each other, then I would be able to just speak. But that probably caused a lot of people confusion. And of course, like, instead of, now I've learned to just continue to go in. And I've been, of course, in my feminine energy, I've become more secure in that space, and allowing, just allowing. That's it. So that's my example of that. But the unnecessary and unwarranted advertisements, Um, so I think a lot of the feminines feel as if there's a need to broadcast what is going on. Like and this is coming out of the imbalanced state, just to like rip open, basically lift up your skirt and show everybody what's going on down there. Um, it's just just to try and I don't know what the point of that is, but it's this idea that no matter who's listening or who cares, who wants to listen, there has to be this broadcasting of something that's actually very private and esoteric. When no one really needs that. No one's really asking for a lot of the details, and I think what a lot of feminines don't realize is that it's not a lot of what they think are issues or like just flaws or just emotional tendencies and emotional flaws happening between them and their loved one are issues that can actually be solved and reprimanded if they just took a breath and laid back and sat with themselves and find the solution. Instead of there being a lot of videos with advice or videos with solutions and the sharing of an experience or the sharing of how where they were when they were at this foothill, climbing the mountain and then going over their problem and ending it. Instead of there being that type of narrative from the feminine energy, there's more of like there's more of this urgency and this 5 alarm. There's more of a catastrophe toting when it comes to the feminines sharing their journey, their twin flame journey on YouTube, or taking to that channel, taking to that media source to reveal what is going on. It's just it's more of a listen to all my problems. It's like that. It's not anything that a masculine would be able to just come in and like be a part of. It's not a unified it's not a self-unified action. Okay, so this is actually an example of over-nurturing. This is the helicopter parent. There's no, like, what's it called? There's no archetype in us that can't be found. Like, anything that, because we're such high beings, anything that we could hook ourselves into has already, whoa. Like, we have the intelligence to, like, find these archetypes and expose them. Like, this is definitely the helicopter archetype within the feminine. And this is just a spiritual bypassing tool. This is all it is. It's not wanting to sit down. Oh, excuse me. This is a refusal to sit down and be quiet and allow the heart to speak. It's trying to, if one thing doesn't work, you're going to pick something else out of your mind and try it. You're just like going through an anthology of Dr. Lipschitz, How to Solve Your Life ordeal. And yes, I did steal that from the Rugrats, because I think there's a lot to learn from this fiasco of American cartoons. So it's a spiritual bypassing tool. It's hoping that forcing yourself onto a platform or forcing yourself onto maybe to gain pity, or maybe just to venting is one thing. I mean, like, yes, this YouTube is like a journal, and you can write whatever the hell you want in your journal. But I'm speaking more towards, of course, like this consciousness that wants union so bad. We Spiritual bypassing can make you look pretty interesting, you know. But if you decide that, okay, I don't care how this looks. I don't care how this looks anymore. I don't care how I don't care. I'm not going to find my satisfaction out of how much I talk about this. It's obviously not making me feel very good, or at least speaking about things from this energy. I'm going to go do something I wanted to do. I'm going to go sit down. I'm actually going to go feel myself in private, and no one else has to hear about it. And I'm going to do my research and take notes, and then live my life in a way where I actually feel my essence coming back into my body. That's the opposite of spiritual bypassing. No one has to know about any of this, really. It's how this energy is being performed, and I'm trying to make a point as to why, like, it's not a mystery that the masculines aren't actually even able to come and be a part of this narrative that we place there, because they definitely would be. Like, this is not an anti-masculine space, and we probably need to stop advertising it like that. Okay, number 2, the divine feminine role is guardianship over the sacred. Okay, so divine feminines protect the domestic realm, the secrets, the mysteries, and the inner child. Okay, we hold the womb. We hold the core of the earth and all things that allow this place and this existence to feel safe and sacred and nurturing and confident enough to one day step out into a different world. Okay, this is where we get our nutrients from. We're the soil. We protect the esoteric from the sources that are not ready to hear or to apply the deeper knowledge and the deeper mysteries of the world. Because if we allowed our children, if we allowed the sacred to fall into the wrong hands, we understand that the world would fall into chaos, and it takes wisdom to be able to assess that, assert that, and quietly make the decision to say, yes, you are ready, or no, you are not ready. That is wisdom, and that is the feminine's natural space. Okay, and the inner child. The inner child is the safe space. And, given that we, right now, in present time, we're hearing a lot of rhetoric about inner child and safe space, because we are trying to heal from being beat up as children and being like just carrying on our parents' anger, being punching bags for the world, and just trying to get out of that and not turn into another problem or another cycle. That's probably the most important thing, is that our children grow up and not beat themselves up. The women protect that center. Okay, so I love to picture that, because it's like we're the ones, like, we're playing with the kids in the nurseries, we're doing the witchcraft, we're doing all the period stuff, we're on our period, we're in the red tent, we're talking to each other about things that men probably really can't understand. Just that sacred women's circle that has been depicted as such a mysterious and sometimes very negative, dirty place. We should be proud to be the guardianship. We are the guardians over the sacred things. Okay. With that being said, how do you betray that sacred right that you have as a woman to protect the sacred? How do you betray that right? You betray that right by using your version of reality to dictate that of another. Was that clear? You betray that right by forcing your version, your unique version of reality, over another who has their own sacred way of seeing the world and their own special way of seeing the world. When you dictate that and you try to snatch it away from them and morph it and throw it to your liking, and you throw it back into their heads, that's betraying our right. That's a betrayal of our divine feminine energy. Okay. We see this in controlling mothers, like people who have suffered that generational curse of the controlling feminine, or the dark mother. And yes, I'm seeing that, like, from the divine feminines who are not aware of this portrayal or misportrayal of our energy. Okay, so that is to put it simply, deciding that your perspective about this world or about this journey is superior to others' view of the world or to your twin's perspective is wrong. Okay, just putting that out there. Okay, so this is supposed to be a co-creative journey. This is a co-creative world. We create with the beings of the sky and the beings of the earth and the water and that of our grandparents and our children. We already know that if we didn't work together, none of this would be here. With that being said, we understand that this co-creative journey is, and this the ultimate representation of that journey is what we call our twin flame journey, right? So, if this is supposed to be a co-authorship, how is it fair to write the story without the input of your co-author? How are you going to take all the credit for the story? That's not how this goes. That's not how this works. You are a co-author. You are a co-creator. How can you write out someone who was hired for this job too? Yes, again, you can come to this place, you can come to this media and speak and be on your own theater. I'm talking about when our behaviors are deleterious to our other half. Okay, so listen, so if this is how a person is, just put yourself in that person's shoes for a second. Be the receiver of that controlling mother. Remember that feeling. Remember how that felt, because I guarantee you, you're not aware of it yet. Just imagine how that boy feels. Okay? So here's what the divine masculine is saying when he is the receiver of that energy and that behavior. And it doesn't have to be physical. It's a mental space. It's a mental fixation. They feel that because they have emotions too. So the masculine says to himself, well, I'm not welcome nor accepted here. My contributions are stupid, destructive, or just plain hurtful. So I'm going to disappear and not cause a scene. I'm out of here. Like, okay, you know what? I'm bad. I'm just bad. I'm a bad boyfriend. I'm a bad father. I'm a bad something. And instead of, they're not going to sit there and like go at it with you. They're just going, you know what? Whatever. If I'm bad, I'm going to remove the bad out of the situation. I am just going to disappear. And they go mute. They do. They leave the scene. They're not on the scene. Why? I mean, why? Why would a person? Why would they stay around? That hurts. So they remove the problem. Because that's how the masculine thinks. They don't have to go into an emotional fiasco in their head and argue back and forth and cry and scream like you might do. They just know, okay, there's a problem. That problem's me. Okay, fine. I'm going to remove the problem. I'm going to remove myself from this blood and terror that I am causing. And then you get mad because they're not there to cuddle you in this space, or to hold you, or to cry and defend themselves. And then that creates this ongoing cycle of, oh, they're not there. They can't be there. If this is the space, my goodness, I would not send my child to this nursery. Well, they can't. So, okay. Well, let's go deeper into that. When we were children, have we ever been scolded for being who we were? Just being who we are? Just sit back and think about that. Remember that. When you were scolded for being who you are. Okay. I thought so. That's our number one childhood wound. That's the deepest wound you can get towards the soul. That's the closest wound you can get to the soul. For being scolded for existing from infancy, or even before that, and then you grow up into that. Okay. Guess what the source of that wound is? The source of that wound is the guardian. It's the parent. It's one or both of the parents. That you can't get. That is the principal perpetrator to that wound. It's the guardian. So if you put 2 and 2 together, this is what you have. The masculines are reliving the trauma of overprotective mothers through the feminine twin in these situations. The masculines are reliving the trauma of overprotective mothers through the feminine twin. Okay, so they're naturally being emasculated. We all know a mama's boy. This, of course, is not all-encompassing mama's boys. But this is more of those, those men or those friends you have that are very, very, very attached to their parents or their mothers in particular, and just like their life is controlled by trying to please the parent, trying to please the mother, who's just never pleased, exhausting themselves trying to please their parent. That's traumatic. You didn't have the umbilical cord attached to you when you were young enough, and now that you were well into an adult as a man, um, or the man will try to find that when they're a grown adult. So these men, or that's an attack against the man's manhood, point blank. So guess what? There's a reason for everything. There's a method to every madness. Okay, so how do you block out the pain of being misunderstood? How do you block out the pain of being thought of as weak, inferior, and just not man enough? How do you block out the pain of being misrepresented? You just avoid the source of that pain. You avoid, okay, like, well, this hurts. I can't, this hurts me. She hurts. Whether or not they're able to vocalize that, they've already begun the process of avoiding their hurt, the source of their pain. So they avoid the divine feminine. They avoid the source of that pain. So they do not keep getting shocked. Because I mean, when I get practical about that, I feel like, well, yeah, if I was a dog with a shock collar, I probably wouldn't go towards that area. Even though I'm connected to it like forever, I've only been right now I'm kind of only associated with the pain of this. So I'll just wear this collar that's weighing my neck down, but I sure as hell won't go near that fence. I truly believe that's what's going on. Okay, so I wanted to end this video. I don't know how long I am. I'm going to end it here. I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about the fatal flaw. What is the fatal flaw? I'm going to reference Shakespeare, and I'm going to reference A Star is Born. This is something all humans can find principle. That just means all things that are discovered or invented are within the same cycle. So when I went into my soul and I found the fatal flaw, I coined it, but I wasn't surprised to do my research and find that this has already been coined within theater and philosophy, psychology, etc. My background is in anthropology, so I have a passion for understanding humans and everything we're connected to. So I name it the flaw fatale, and I'm going to segue that into how we operate in this twin flame journey and how we error in this twin flame journey. This is part 1 to why we never hear from the masculine perspective. I will be continuing a part 2 that will complete this chapter in the video series. Okay? Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this gorgeous background. I have little critters crawling on me, and sometimes they tickle, and so if I jump and skit here and there, it's because they're showing me some love. Okay, well, I hope this really helps you. I love you so much, and I hope this has empowered you to go deeper into those more difficult spots on your journey, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.